Brendan from TAT here. Today I want to show you a common trap that a lot of guys get in with these Delphi common rail injectors, even after you do something as simple as, say, a tappet cover gasket. So we've got this 2.2 Captiva here. Similar injectors are used on various other vehicles like the Hyundai Iloads, and a lot of guys will get on TAT Assist that have done a job, but it can be anything from a tappet cover to anything that involves the fuel system, and you're going to have to take either the injectors out or just draining the fuel system. So I mean, in all reality, it could be just from doing a fuel filter. So the problem we get with these Delphi injectors, and come down and have a look at them because they're quite distinctive. So take a look at these guys. You know, they've got quite a distinctive look to them, these odd plugs on the side. Whenever you see these Delphi injectors, you want to be pretty careful with what you do with them. So once the rail pressure has been drained down on one of these and you've done your work and you come back, my advice is to leave them electrically unplugged and then crank the thing until it gets rail pressure, then plug them in electrically and then let it start. Now, why would you do that? Well, the problem that we get with a lot of these is you've got no rail pressure, you go to crank, the injector opens, and so combustion pressure is getting up into the injector and there's something inside there that sticks. So you end up with this problem where you've now got a crank no start, you've got rail pressure, you've got injection command at the injector, but you've got no smoke coming out the back. That's exactly what we had on this Captiva. So we actually started the car and it ran, we were pulling it back out of the workshop, so it probably drove about 10 meters or so, started to die down as it was probably losing rail pressure. We've just done a huge job on this and it would have had air in the system, and after that it's a crank no start. So first thing I did was check rail pressure. Great, we had 30 megapascals. That's huge pressure for cranking. That's great pressure. Next I thought, okay, well, do we have injection command? So I got a current clamp, I put that on the injector. If you take a look at the scope, we've got rail pressure is our yellow, green is the current clamp, and then red and blue was the voltage command at the injector, which is pretty negligible. So as long as we've got current at the injector, we're fine. Now this is after doing what I would recommend if you find yourself in this situation where you've gone too far, you're already at the crank no start. A lot of guys will pull the injectors out, they'll send them to the diesel shop, they'll say, yep, they're no good, send some new ones. And we've even had people that then end up in the same situation with the new injectors because they end up getting, I suppose you would call them blocked, but it's not really blocked. So what we find works on these is, if you look at this rail pressure, the yellow, previously when I was just cranking, we're getting that 30 megapascals. We're only getting up to, say, about 1 volt or so, which is reasonable pressure for a common rail system and about what you'd see cranking. But that 1 volt isn't enough to free these injectors and get them working again. So the successful thing that we've had is unplug the suction control valve. That's going to allow full flow through the suction control valve into the rail, and as you can see now, we're achieving closer to, that's a good 2.5 volts or so. I imagine if I was to look on the scan tool, we might be something around even 60 megapascals or so. And for whatever reason, it's beyond me, this is getting into the internals of the injectors, that higher pressure seems to be enough to, I believe the term would be hydraulically couple inside the injector, and it's able to start operating again eventually. You may get one injector come back online and starts to kind of run as a single cylinder, and then a couple more come on. But basically, leave the suction control valve unplugged, get massive rail pressure until the thing starts to run, then put it back on and you should be good to go. So just to recap, these Delphi injectors, my recommendation, so you don't get in trouble with them, leave them electrically unplugged, get them hydraulically coupled so we've got good rail pressure, then plug them in, and when it goes for its first injection, it's going to have fuel there in the injector ready to go. We don't have combustion pressure pushing up into a open nozzle, causing whatever goes wrong inside these. If you want more tips like this, or you run into an issue like that, that's where you get onto TAT Assist, and we could help you with these kinds of things, so you don't end up spending the thousands on new injectors. So if you're looking to join, head to www.tat.net.au, join the thousands of other members sharing knowledge, information and experience. Thanks guys.